All righty. So we are making some changes here to the way we're running Pro Schools. Um, Rather than using these for product announcements, we're going to do product announcements separately. And then this is really just a me and you guys Q&A session every week. So basically an office hours. And so we're just going to jump right in. If you have a question, you can either put it in the Q&A area or raise your hand and I can tag you in so that you can talk it through. Either way. And we're just going to go in the order that they come in, and we'll try to rotate through and not do back to back with any individual person. So go ahead, just raise your hand or put it into the Q&A chat. And I'll address questions as they come up. And there should be a button to do the hand raise down in the bar. So yeah, any questions at all? I know you guys at Roof Rangers had some questions for me. So there we go. Okay.
Hello. Hey, it's Trey.
Hey Trey. Yeah, tell me, let's go through, let's do one at a time. But yeah, talk me through the first question that you had.
All right, so we're trying to be able to write a quote and then modify things in the quote as we're going,
Yep.
and it seems to be grayed out.
Okay. Yep. Do you think you can share your screen and show what that looks like with it grayed out?
I can't because I'm on my laptop and I'm calling you on my phone.
Got it.
But yeah, like when I talked to my rep before, and he said, like for example, I've got a house I'm doing, and we quoted gutters as an add-on price, and then they said, well, we don't want to do all the gutters, we just want to do the gutters in the back of the house. So then we would want to be able to go in and write that in there before we send it to them, but that we're not being able to do that right now.
Okay. So and you need your sales rep to be able to do that, or you need which members of your team are you able are
My
you needing to
inside,
do that?
my inside rep is my admin, and she's the one writing the quotes.
Okay. So let me just share my screen and kind of walk through this. I'm not entirely sure what you mean by grayed out, but I can walk through on my end and we can take a look at this. So um we'll just go to a project here and we'll go to a quote, and this is pretty old, so we'll delete this. Let's put some we got some measurements in here, it looks like. So we'll add a couple structures. Okay, so we have a new quote here. And so the situation that you're referring to is you've sent the quote to the customer, they've looked at it, and then they're asking for changes. Is that correct?
No, well, that's one thing, but I mean, what I was saying was, okay, let's say you set up a template where you have an upgrade line item that's for full gutters for the house based on the lineal footage of the eaves. Okay, so but when my salesperson goes to the house, the homeowner says, I don't want new gutters on my whole house. I want them just on the back. So when my inside rep is preparing the quote, she needs to be able to go in there and instead of it being, when it says gutter replacement right there, she needs to be able to go in there and change it to gutter replacement on the rear only, and then That's it. But we're not able to do that.
So are you referring specifically to the name here
Yeah,
of
we
the
want to
line
be able to
item?
write things in there. Yep.
So that name is tied to the items on your price list, but you can add in descriptions. So if you want to describe this and say, so you can click this button right here, and then you can describe it and you can say only on rear of house. And then I'll show you what that looks like on the quote here in a second. And then of course you'd be changing the linear feet to whatever's only on that side of the house since you're quoting that.
Yeah.
The other thing too is depending on you can change the names of the upgrade. So the upgrade right here, well, the line item names are tied to what's on your price list because it has to have that matching relationship to what's on your price list. You can change the name of the option. So you could say 6-inch seamless gutters, rear only. And so that's another way of changing that. And then if we go and run this quote now, I think that was on structure 1. Yeah, that was the seamless gutters in structure 1. So we'll take a look at this. And for everybody else, feel free to either raise your hand or put something in the Q&A if you are wanting to jump in after we do this. Okay, so we have our quote here. And we have structure 1, and then well, so in this specific case, we've hidden the upgrade pages are hidden, so I can unhide them and we'll look at what that looks like. But here on the upgrades right here, because we changed the name of that upgrade, it says rear only on here. And then we can change this if we want so that the upgrades are not hidden. So we'll go to here. So we're going to unhide those upgrades pages so that we do have those pages visible in the quote. And we'll look at what that description of the line item looks like. Alrighty. Yeah. So we have this item. I'm also seeing these are being pulled from the structure. Thought that was an upgrade, but maybe I need to check that. And then it has that description here, only on rear of house. So does that answer your question? Does that solve that for you?
So the let's see here. So if I'm trying to play with it right now to see what happens.
Okay. You're looking at the exact quote?
I'm on a quote on ProLine on my end.
Okay.
All right. So now now I'm able to change the words. So before I wasn't able to do that.
Are you referring specifically to these words up here?
Yeah, those seem to
Okay.
have been grayed out before, but
I'm trying to think. There is cases where they can be grayed out.
oh, I know what it is. It's the description. So yeah, I could change like in that case, I could change the word 6-inch seamless gutters, but the description in there, that part I need to be able to change.
So currently, and very intentionally, we don't allow this to be changed because this is being pulled from your price list. And so in order to make sure that it matches up and that you know where information like the calculations are coming from and stuff like that, this is locked to what it's called on your price list. But we have that ability to add a description for the individual quote that is underneath that line item. Can you kind of walk me through if if I'm missing something on how it would be critical to be able to change this versus just set a description under it. Because that's something we could potentially look at. It's just a pretty major change. And there's a reason why we don't allow this to be changed, these individual. You can add a different line item from your price list. But there were some reasons. So there'd have to be some pretty compelling reasons to change that behavior. But
Yeah.
I'm open to hearing those if there's some reasons behind that.
Well, all I can tell you is my experience with what I have so far, which is Sumo Quote. And where we just go in there and we change whatever we need to change, and then we send it out. So in this case, if it says gutter guards or gutters, um, we go on there and modify exactly what the customer wanted, change whatever needs to be changed, and send it out. And it seems like with ProLine, there's templates for that, and then you need to add a description, is what you're saying, under it.
That
Is that
currently
what
is Yeah, that's currently what we support. The thing that we're trying to avoid happening with the changing of what these line items are is having like a sales rep go in and this has got a replacement, but then maybe they just change it to something else entirely. Maybe they just change it to like, paint on the front porch. But now we part of ProLine is we have a really powerful reporting that we are building out. We already have some reporting, but we're building out a lot more reporting that's going to be based off of those price list items where you can see here's how much I sold of this gutter replacement item that's on my price list. So you're going to be able to track those kind of metrics. And so the risk that we're worried about is if we allow that to be changed, then that is going to throw off those numbers
Yeah.
because sales reps are going to just rather than changing the actual line item to something else that's on the price list that's controlled by you as the admin, they might just change the name of it like you're saying, and throw off those numbers. I don't know. That's what we're worried about, but maybe it's more important to be able to just change it.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to get with her and talk to her about that. I don't know the answer.
Okay.
But then one issue she was having was the numbers were being added to the quote after the fact, and I thought my profit margin was at 0, but it seemed like it was bringing in something else. We thought it was sales tax, but we couldn't really identify where the number was coming from. And I had your rep on there as well, trying to figure it out. Neither of us could figure it out. So we were writing a quote, and the number at the end was different, and we don't know why.
Yeah.
So is it? And then I was told that sales tax is automatically included on every quote. We have to go in there and add a discount to offset the sales tax. Is that true?
No. So we don't have any sales tax functionality right now at all in
Okay.
ProLine. So
All right.
there's no sales tax. The only thing that we're adding is going to be the margin. Where I think there might have been some confusion, and I'll go over this in a second. I want to add this idea on changing line item names on quotes without changing price list item.
Maybe it would have like a pop-up box and be like, kind of warning them, because you're going to mess, like you said, you're going to mess with your numbers, and if
Yeah.
you do that, but they may, they may not understand that or whatever.
Yep. So price list items. Yeah, we'll just do that. Okay. So, I've added that. So that idea is on what's going to have to be approved. Let me just pop over and approve that on my end. All right. So that's on there. So anyone that wants to go vote on that, would love to get some discussion underneath that. So yeah, back over here. Yeah, so there's a few things that could be going on with that. One of them is the fact that we allow line items to be hidden, which is something that not a lot of other softwares. I don't believe Sumo Quote supports this, but you can hide individual line items on our quotes.
Yeah.
And so because of that, you could end up with, if you are showing your prices, so we'll change this, quote settings, show line item prices, and then we'll have structure 1 here, and then we'll have a hidden. So we'll just hide most of these. And we'll see what this, let me see. Okay, so let's run this again, and then so we'll see what this looks like, and maybe it is what you're talking about. The other thing to look at is potentially with your billing settings for invoicing. We have cash discounting built in, which is going to add it's going to automatically add a cash discount, but also build your card fee into your margin. So that's also what you could have been looking at. But we'll look at this real quick. So this is right. I think our hiding is actually not working for structures right now. So that's something I need to make a note about. Hiding line items, structures. But this is still illustrative here. So we have a list of line items. Let me go in here. So we have this. This is not going to add up. These numbers are not going to add up to this. Is that maybe what you were saying? Is like these numbers were not adding up to this? Or this was more than these?
Yeah, there was more.
Okay. That's probably just that you have some line items that are hidden. And if you want to show all line items on your quotes, you can do that. And you can, on your quote templates, you would want to go in and by default have all line items showing. But what most people are doing is they're hiding things that aren't worth showing to the homeowner just because it's going to raise questions, things like OSB board. Now, this completely changes if you're doing insurance work, right? But for retail, and everyone has a different style, but most companies are hiding things like the OSB board, the caulks and sealants, the touch-up paint. These are things that are just going to raise random questions with the homeowner. What the homeowner wants to see is the Atlas True Ridge Vent, the Atlas shingle, or whatever manufacturer, all the branded stuff. That's what you're going to sell on, you're going to build value on. And typically people are not showing their prices here at all. And so those are usually hidden. So you guys can definitely, if you want to show all your line item pricing, we have an option for that. You can do that. But it is going to get confusing if you are then also hiding line items. So you want to make sure that all of your line items here are not hidden on your options. And then if you do that, then that number should add up perfectly once you do that. If you're setting your if you're, well, they'll line up perfectly regardless, but regardless of what your profit margin is, this list will add up to this if all line items are set to be visible. And yeah, if you're doing cash discounting, it's going to appear like you're going to see it. So that could be something, but it's still going to add up. So it'll add up here to the total. So I think the only thing actually that could possibly be happening is that you have some line items hidden. And so I would just
Yeah.
double check that.
Well, I did hide some because I had gutters and gutter guards, but I didn't really want to dedicate a whole page because our estimates are already over 20 pages long. So
Yeah.
I didn't want to add like a full page just for like gutter guards, so I hid it.
Oh,
Um,
that's fine. So,
but maybe that's why.
well, are you talking about hiding a page, like hiding this page here, or are you talking about hiding line items? Because those would be different.
I think I was hiding the whole page, so it ends up at the end. So it's a line item at the end, so they can still click on it if they want to do that. But
Right.
I'm not, adding pages into the quote to make it too long.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. So that should be fine. I think the if you're looking at a page and it's listing out all the line items and the numbers are adding up to something that's lower than what it shows, that would be because you have a hidden line item specifically. So it's one of these that's hidden. And by default, all of our templates have hidden line items. So it's very likely that you have some line items that are hidden unless you went in and intentionally unhid them. And if you don't want any line items to be hidden on your quotes in general, then you will want to go into your quote templates and change that. So you'll want to go into your quote templates, go to those pages, and then make sure that all of those items are unhidden in order to, and so they'll show up on the quote. Um, so yeah, and regardless of the margin, it's that's going to work regardless of the margin because the prices that are shown on the quote are with margin. So um, that's not a concern. And then, yeah, we don't currently have anything with sales tax. That's we
Okay.
will soon. We're actually we will be launching a pretty big overhaul of a lot of different things. We're overhauling budgets, is what we were trying to overhaul to add unlimited budget line items and a really powerful expense tracking system into ProLine that was going to lead into reporting. And we're really excited about that. And as part of that, we ended up rebuilding a lot of stuff with quotes again to make them more powerful. So there will be sales tax on quotes here very soon, as well as automatic commission calculations, real time, where the sales rep can see if you want them to see their commission in real time being calculated based on like what they're building out in the quote, including profitability. So there's a lot of cool stuff that's coming that will make affect some of what I just told you, but yeah, as of right now, the only thing that I think could possibly be going on is you just have some line items that are hidden.
Okay. I got one more question.
Okay. Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
so if I'm in
We
a
don't have anybody
template,
else. We don't have
yeah,
anybody else with a raised hand yet, so we can just be you and I the whole time.
all right. So if I'm in a roof replacement template and I have like a couple things for upgrades like gutters and gutter guards, but I want to add one more thing. Then I want to custom write something and put in my own price. What's the best way to do that?
All right, so you're talking about in the quote templates, or are you talking about when you're making an individual quote? I think I missed that.
Yeah, I'm making a quote and maybe they have some weird thing I need to add in there as a one-off.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're in this quote right now, and you're saying, are you using our multi-structure system, or do you have your options just out at the top level?
Um, Not sure what that means.
Do you
I
see, like when you're building quotes, do you have options here, or do you see structure pages?
I have option pages. Yeah.
Okay. Just at the top level. Okay. I think when you create your account, we hadn't changed the templates yet. So structures makes this a little different, but for all you're going to do is just add a page. So you just go in and add a page for an upgrade. So if you want to add like another upgrade, what's an example of an upgrade you'd want to add?
Like the last one was someone wanted a custom piece of metal put around this little window. Like like a little tiny roof. It's like 3 square feet or something.
Yep.
It's like that.
So yep, absolutely. So you just go to add page, you can type that in, and then you can start adding line items for any. I mean, you can also just put like an other material or other labor. We usually recommend having something like that. The
Okay.
but then if you have something, you could put maybe you're going to use flashing for it. So I don't know if we have flashing in this demo account, but yeah, I don't know. But you can just add whatever line items you need to add and type in the quantities, change the pricing. You can adjust from there. The other thing that you can do is if you have maybe it's something that's unusual, but it's happens enough that you have it in another template in your account, but maybe not the current template you're using. You can also add pages from other templates. So you can go in to a different template in your ProLine account and just drag in one page. So you can pull it in from something else, add it, and it's just going to pull it into that quote for you real quick. And that way it's already built. But of course, like the window metal trim thing is probably super unusual, and you're just going to have to add that manually and add the page and then build it out. But a good example of this is like maybe you don't do siding on enough jobs to have like a siding upgrade, but then every once in a while you do a job where they do want the siding done, and so maybe you just have a siding quote and you just pull in the upgrade page from the siding quote to into your current quote. Be a good
Okay.
use case for that.
All right. All right. That answers the question. Thank you.
Okay, absolutely. And I would still encourage you. I would love to sit down with you and just dig deeper into all this in your account because we do have that other onboarding call to do with you. So
All
I
right.
encourage
Did
you to
we already
schedule that.
schedule that, or did I miss that?
I don't think so. I didn't see
Okay.
anything. Maybe I missed it. So I would just double check. Maybe I missed it. It might already be on my calendar, but we'll see.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Well, sounds good. By then, we'll probably have another question.
Okay, sounds
All right.
good.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
All right. All right. Anybody else? Anyone else got questions? Anything I can help with? We got got quite a few people today. I'm here to help. What's up, Scott?
I have a quick question, and this there's nothing to walk through. But do you have any kind of time frame of uh, calendar booking pages? What is the timeline looking like on that, possibly?
Yeah, I've been talking a lot about this lately. I think realistically the earliest we would have that would be um the earliest would be probably end of June. And I think more realistically you're looking at closer to July. So it's the what we're focused on right now is the reporting. And the reporting, which includes budgets, which includes commission, which includes, so there's a lot of other things being kind of grouped in with reporting. Um, and that's definitely quite the monster. Um, After that, we have some just general performance stuff we have to look at for a few weeks. Um, and that's mostly it. Before we can do the booking pages, though, we have to really rebuild all of the calendar functionality because we can't build it on top of our current calendar functionality because there's too many holes in it. So we're gonna do the whole calendar overhaul first. Then we can build the booking pages on top of that. And we'll do the rebuild of the calendar functionality with that in mind, but we're not going to be able to do it until the main calendar stuff is done. And so yeah, I think the earliest would be end of June. But more realistically, we're looking at closer to sometime in July. It's something that we're prioritizing, but there's also a lot of other things that are high on the list. So
Sure. Okay, that's all I had.
yeah. One thing that we were thinking about doing, I've this has been on the roadmap for a bit, and then I wasn't able to do it before I got too busy. But I think I might put the dev team on it. is adding some kind of a Zapier action that would make it easier to integrate with something like Calendly. And the other thing that we did add that's actually relevant to this, Scott, because I remember us talking about Calendly and the issues that you guys had with it creating duplicate events. It is now possible. Let me share my screen. It doesn't completely solve the problem, but it is now possible with calendar events. We go to integrations to tell ProLine whether or not you want it to create the external events. So you don't have, you can integrate a calendar and use the calendar for just getting availability and pulling availability from that calendar into ProLine for booking. But then you can have it not create events on an external calendar, which would potentially allow you to have it integrate with Calendly and not have it conflict, at least not as much. If we do push out that Zapier step, one of the features of that would probably be the ability to tell ProLine not to create an event, an external event for it. And so, or it might pass along the external event ID or something of that nature to keep ProLine from creating a duplicate event on your calendar. So there's a number of different things in the short run that might help with like getting booking functionality working correctly. We just won't be able to launch that full feature ad anytime in the near future.
Got it.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else, Scott? We can go
That's
over.
all I've got.
All right. Cool. I'll try to give you a call back later on today.
No rush.
All right. Bye. All right. Matt, I'm tagging you in.
So
How's it
not
going?
too big. Good. How are you?
Good.
Been busy, so I haven't been able to bother you lately.
Well, that's good. That's a good problem to have.
So regarding like QuickBooks, I haven't really had too much time to dig into it, but what all like kind of passes back and forth between ProLine and QuickBooks? Obviously, I've seen the customer information. I just didn't know if there were other things that were tied together.
Yeah, right now it's the customer information, and then you can optionally tell it to also create sub customers for projects. So you can have the sub customers listed underneath the customer. It depends on how you do accounting. Like every company is different in that regard. So which is why we made it optional. That is all that the integration does at this time.
Okay.
We don't sync any sort of payments or financial data over between the two. And that's, well, we wanted to get a version of QuickBooks out the door, so that people could benefit from it. So that was priority number one. And then two, we talked to a lot of, bookkeepers when we were building the QuickBooks integration, and a lot of them just said that they didn't want the financial syncing because they've seen it go wrong too many times with different platforms that they've used and other CRMs that they've used. And so a lot of them just said, hey, give us good CSV exports, which we have. We're actually going to be making some further improvements to that with the reporting overhaul. And so for the financial side, they can just export in bulk the payments data from ProLine, and then they can put it in however they want it to be put in. Now that being said, we will still tackle that at some point. It's just because it's not going to be this summer. I don't think that we're going to be able to tackle that. It's probably going to be a fall project. Is kind of QuickBooks version 2 with adding the more financial and payment syncing and stuff. I think the next layer that we would add would probably not even be payments. It would be it would be invoices, or estimates. I think it'd be estimates. So for ProLine quotes, when you get a signed quote in ProLine, it would create an estimate inside of QuickBooks. I think it's been a minute since I looked at how we were going to do that, but that's, I think, the next layer. And then the next layer after that would be adding invoices, adding the payments and stuff like that automatically into there.
Okay. Is the ACH like transfer time for funds like the same as the credit cards, or is it a little bit slower?
It is definitely a little bit slower.
Okay.
Currently it's business days is not entirely accurate. It's banking days. So, and that's slightly different. It's usually about the same, but it's basically 4 business days right now.
Okay.
So, that means that if you get an ACH on a Monday, then that's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. You would have it deposited on Friday. That is definitely slower than we want it to be. So we've put a lot of pressure on our processor to find ways to speeding that up. And they're working on multiple different ways of making ACH faster. And I think that we're going to be able to get that down to first 3 business days. And then ideally long term, we do want it to be 2 business days. It'll never be as fast as card, but we do want to get it down to 2 business days if we can. But I think that's very long term. I think if we can get it down to 3 business days sometime this year, that's the goal for this year. And then 2025 is when we'd be looking at getting it further down to probably early 2025 before next season is when we would be looking to get it down to 2 business days.
Okay. I thought so. We did our first couple ones and I kind of noticed that, and I just wanted to double check because it was like a weekend in between there, so I wasn't quite sure.
Yeah, when
And
it's
then
split by a weekend, that makes it feel really long,
yeah,
which is
I was like,
unfortunate. Yeah.
I didn't know if that was ever going to come, but it did. So, another little thing too is just like the kind of like receipt entry or whatever you want to call it. Like if we go to Lowe's, we go to Home Depot, and just like plugging all that in. I know there's fields for that, but just having them as like set fields versus like being able to type it in on the go, like what it was. I didn't know if there were any plans for that. I'm sure it's probably in the roadmap, but I haven't dug through there in a little while.
We're working on it right now. Like
Okay.
we're right. Literally, that's our top thing we're working on at the moment. I think we're about 2 weeks out from launching that. It got kind of roped in with commissions, sales tax. We also adding pass through line items, so you can turn off margin for certain line items if you just want to
Mhm.
pass through the cost. And then we're adding what you had brought up before, which is the ability to have change the cost. So like edit the cost on certain items.
Mhm.
All of that's kind of roped together. So, but I think we're about 2 weeks out on that, and we'll launch that and along with just kind of general improvements to quoting. Um, so yeah, that is what is currently in progress.
Okay. Yeah, and then the only other thing was just like kind of like a homepage, like activity feed type thing. I think I had brought that up before, but so the other thing I had to touch base on.
That is the next thing. So,
Okay.
well, uh, so we're doing the budgets with receipt uploads with unlimited budget line items and everything else I just mentioned. Then the next thing, and this should be a shorter ad, is we're adding UTM tracking for any marketers out there. It's basically a way of better tracking which advertising and marketing channels are performing better. And so we're adding that, and that should be a shorter ad, hopefully. And then once we have all that in place, because that all builds up to the big overhaul we're doing of our reporting in ProLine. And reporting is going to become one of the main pages inside of ProLine. And you'll be able to set it as your default if you want to open up ProLine and have that be your default. And then we're also going to be making that highly customizable. And as part of that, you'll be able to have any combination of different modules. So instead of locking you into this is how your homepage has to be, we're probably going to launch with something around like 15 or so modules. And then over time, we'll keep adding different module types based on requests. One of those module types will be a company-wide activity feed based on whatever filters you have selected on the page. Um, a lot of them will just be different metrics and graphs for different reporting stuff. But yeah, so that's going to be really big, and that's what we're focused on right now. And I think all of that should be done by end of May is what we're shooting for. But I think it definitely could go further, and that's why like I was talking to Scott, I don't know when the booking pages is exactly going to fit in. Because I think after that is when we're looking at the calendar overhaul, and I'm just not sure how long that's going to take to get that done. So, and I probably should be like sharing my screen. All of this that I'm talking about is kind of on that ideas page. You can look at that. So yeah, the ideas and roadmap page, which is in ProLine here. So this is what's in development. So right here, budgeting tool to allow unlimited expense line items. So there's a lot that we're working on simultaneously just because it all is interconnected. And UTMs is technically that's not currently being worked on, but it's in the next few weeks. It connects in. And then all the calendar stuff is what's on the upcoming agenda after that. So and then this stuff is kind of just in line and not, we don't have exact dates on it yet, but we're definitely doing it. It's just in line.
Awesome. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Okay. Anything else on your end? Okay. I'm gonna hop over to Sheldon. How's it going, Sheldon?
Good. How are you?
Pretty good. Pretty good. What's up? How can I help?
I had a comment on the QuickBooks that you were saying earlier. You said you guys spoke with bookkeepers and they like to keep it separate, right? Basically,
Yeah.
I was gonna say based on my experience with different bookkeepers that I tried to bring on, all of them like to stay in QuickBooks, hence why I'm assuming they all agreed to keeping it separate. But as a contractor, I don't like to go into QuickBooks. I like to punch everything into my CRM. So what usually happens is they'll be asking me questions. What is this and what is that? If you just go into the CRM, you can see that the payment is there. But they just don't want to learn or go on the other side. You know what I'm saying? They just want to stick to what they got going on. So
Yep.
I just want to give my opinion on that reason why they would say keep it separated. But I mean, it makes sense to me as a contractor to put everything in my CRM. Just saying.
I agree. I think the biggest thing with the bookkeepers that we were hearing was just that they were scared. They had seen it go wrong many times with integrations, and because companies tend to just rush through the QuickBooks integration, and so we've made the decision to take it a little slower and make sure it's good. Which is why we're kind of adding one thing at a time. But I totally agree with you. Like we're going to get to the point where everything that's relevant does sync into QuickBooks. We will get to that point. We're just going to do it one layer at a time to make sure it's done right and that it actually doesn't break what the bookkeepers are doing. Short term, yeah, the solution is doing PDF or the CSV exports. But yeah, I totally agree. That's good. Good additional thoughts there.
Oh, yeah, that was it. Well, appreciate it. Thank
Yeah,
you.
absolutely. Thank you. All right. We have a few more minutes here. Let me know if you guys have any other questions. Happy to help. And yeah, just want to reiterate again. I've been harping on this a lot, but this ideas page that we have is the ideas and roadmap area is something that we're really relying on for making decisions around what gets done next. I think what's the calendar and what's in development right now with reporting is that's pretty much set, but the order in which we do these queued items is definitely going to be influenced by the votes on stuff, and then also what makes it out of under consideration into the dev roadmap will also be heavily influenced by that. So I encourage you. It's hard for us to really have actionable data when we only have 2-3 votes on stuff. So I encourage everyone to go in, put votes on things that you care about. And don't put votes on, if you put votes on everything, it doesn't mean anything. So put the votes on the things that matter to you the most. And that way we're able to get that picture of what all of you guys really want us to focus in on. Hey, Sheldon, did you have something else, or I saw your hand go up again?
Oh, I clicked accidentally, but I would make her the. I like roofer. I'm not a GF measure guy. Would it suggest a roofer webhook? Probably. I don't know.
So we can't, for both competitive and legal reasons, we can't ever integrate with Roofer since they decided to mess around and create a CRM. So that's on them. I think we're working on more measurement integrations over time, and I think we're looking into some solutions for helping make that easier. And ideally, from our perspective, is there shouldn't be a reason to use Roofer for anything. So we're looking for ways to make that possible. But yeah, I understand the reports are really, really good for the price right now. So I understand why everyone's using them, but unfortunately, we will never be able to have any kind of integration over to ProLine. So for those, for Roofer, you'll always have to manually enter those measurements into ProLine.